Hello and welcome to 20 Lore Pro. Loxes here in round 2. We're excited to be here as we watch Toupaloop, who we've seen on the stream before, piloting a Ruby Amber list versus Travis piloting a Ruby Sapphire list. Really excited to be here today in round 2. We had a great round 1. If you missed it, it was a Blurple Amethyst Sapphire versus a Ruby Amethyst list, and my goodness, the Blurple player played, I don't know, maybe a lot of one-ofs, maybe like two-ofs of cards like Belle, Ursula, Genie, Mufasa, Elsa. It was just a lot of cards, a lot of different variation of what he could play and what strategies he had against his opponent, M, piloting a Ruby Amethyst list. Great game to watch. If you missed it, head on over to 20 Lore Pro's YouTube later on this week, where we'll have that posted for you to view as you can. Well, here we are in round 2 of Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K in Austin, Texas. Toupaloop here piloting a Ruby Amber list. I was talking to Toupaloop a little bit before today's tournament, was telling me that this deck does play Mufasa, but it's more of a Gaston strategy. Gaston, that new 9-drop, this whole deck is centered around that one card and how they can trigger this ability, allowing him to come out as early as possible. I'm told maybe even on turn 4, having Gaston out, which sounds like a very scary prospect, having a 10-6 on the board that can rush. But maybe we'll see here today. Gaston coming out, I'm being told it is a 4-of in their list, so we'll have to see how Gaston plays out for them in this focused list. Now, Ruby Sapphire, we've seen this strategy and it plays very well. We see the Vitalospheres, the Fishbone Quills, the Popsicles, all these great items trying to get up possibly into the late game to play a Tamatoa, cards that really care about items on the board, maybe even playing Belle or Lucky Dimes. I've seen some strategies even no longer using Tamatoa and instead trying to focus on just ramping up the items and the ink and using cards like Belle to finish out the game, or Ariel. So we'll have to see kind of how Travis is playing in today's, what type of list he's playing in today's rounds. Now we have a lot of damaged characters on the board. Rapunzel finding great targets. We see the Mother Gothel on Toupaloop's side of the board, but then this Beast Wounded, I believe it's a 2-drop, it's a 2/6, and it enters the battlefield with 3 damage counters on it. But just having that 2/6 body, incredibly strong, great target for that Rapunzel. There it is at 3, I'm sorry, not 2, but goodness sakes, a 2/6 that can quest for 2, enters with 4 damage. What a play on turn 3, great target for Rapunzel, able to draw all 3 of the cards. So not only do you now have a 3/4 in Mother Gothel, but you now have a 2/6 in the form of this Beast Wounded. Rapunzel getting targeted and removed by this Madame Medusa. Madame Medusa being a great card and addition into these Ruby Sapphire list. Great targeted removal. Some of them were playing, again, the package of Madame Medusa and Lady Tremaine, depending on what the local meta has. If they're playing against a lot of mirror matches or cards that are really just large and one-ofs, one at a time, then Lady Tremaine shines. If not, then Madame Medusa, great in its ability to be able to target specific characters that cause trouble on the board when their power is 3 or less. Robin Hood, Beasts, really a lot of the Amber Steel Song cards, even a lot of the cards right here in Toupaloop's list can be targeted by Madame Medusa and removed, and just a 4/4 body in and of itself, great at challenging. Toupaloop here with another damaged character in the form of Mother Gothel. We are getting closer to the Gaston. This could be troubling for Travis. There it is on the board. It's there. 2 less for every damaged character. We have a 10-6 here on the board on turn 5. This 10-6, great at challenging, great at questing. Now here's 4 with Flavor Sham, classic package from Sapphire items lists like this. Using that Flavor Sham to pop the Popsicle, able to draw 2 cards when it ETBs and when it quests. Great pairing with cards like Tamatoa, allowing items to get brought back from the banish pile. Flavor Sham just really being a staple, and of note is an inventor, which we've seen from the set 6 spoilers is gonna matter in the next set. So Flavor Sham not only being a great card for right now in Ruby Sapphire lists and has been, but may even be more. And see what this Gaston does. Just this huge 10-6 now on the in the form of be on the board, catch their opponent not prepared. Looks like Toupaloop quested out. Does have another Gaston. 2 Gastons now. Two Gastons on the board. We see Travis now with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ink. 9 is Inkwell. Sorry for the quick technical delay on my side of the field. Sometimes the internet in these places a little tough with so many computers around at the same time, but I'm back. We do see Travis having a Scar, a great challenger here in this case, able to take out really as many as he can, but on Toupaloop's side of the board, these Gastons being at 10-6 can only really challenge into one of them at a time. Would be able to take out one, but would lose its own self. Travis does use Scar to take out as many characters as possible, having 2 Vital Spheres now on the board. These Vital Spheres really creating, I would say, great opportunities for challenges, and anything that Travis does play can increase the challenging ability of any of his characters, meaning that they could trade very well into any of Toupaloop's characters, to include those Gastons. This Vital Sphere can even be brought back by Tamatoa later on in the game to give it self-rush and to challenge in. We've seen that before, especially in Ruby Amethyst matchups, where you see a Tamatoa hit the board, it brings back a Vital Sphere, they use a banish the Vital Sphere to then challenge into a Game Kastle that the Ruby Amethyst player thought was going to be okay. Toupaloop is at 12 now to Travis's 1. Travis has been really on the back burner here, while Toupaloop has been playing and going wide with his characters, drawing with the Rapunzels, drawing with the Madrigals, and is just questing in. Travis, though, is doing his game plan and going up in the Inkwell, Gonna have to find something to challenge, or use these Vital Spheres, I should say, to challenge in, I think, into Toupaloop's characters, or find a way to take care of Toupaloop's board. Now at 15, this Gaston, a quester for 2, in and of itself will take even incredibly a strong card at 10-6. Pretty difficult, really, for any character to cleanly take care of. We know Maui can go into it, we know Scar can go into it, but without the Vital Sphere, really nothing else. And there's a Maui from Travis. We see that in his hand. Opting to quest with the Flavor Sham, drawing 2 cards. Gonna need to find some follow-up plays, even if he does get rid of Toupaloop's characters on the board right now. 2 Plutos on Toupaloop's side, in addition to everything else. Those characters are going to be able to quest. Every little bit is going to matter for Toupaloop to get up to 20. And I like Travis's play of questing first, drawing first, having more information, more decisions to make. That way Travis has the best plays in his hand. Just a great way to make sure that you're making clean plays by having the most information. Now we could see here Travis using the Madame Mim to take out the Gaston with a Vital Sphere being popped, and then the Maui trading into the Mother Gothel, allowing the Maui to survive. Not a bad play depending on what Travis has. Does have a Flavor Sham and chooses to use that instead to get rid of the item to draw. And then we see the double trade go in. And again, Travis opting to do that after he saw the 2 cards off of the draw from the Flavor Sham, again having more information to make the best decision possible to put himself ahead. This is going to be a tight situation for Travis as he maneuvers around how to keep Toupaloop off of gaining more lore. He's already at 15 without having quested yet this turn. Toupaloop now playing Tinkerbell. There's a Super Goof. Super Goof is guaranteed 2 lore if it challenges. Already at 18. Next turn, any type characters on Travis' side of the board now represent game winning for Toupaloop with that Super Goof. We just see that now Travis not having been able to clear Toupaloop's board for several openings for him to be able to quest often gave him game 1. There's Travis picking up his cards, and Toupaloop taking game 1 here in round 2 of Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K. Congratulations to Toupaloop for taking game 1. Again, I'm your announcer today, SirAshtown. And it is a pleasure to be here as we watch today's tournament, as we share with you the latest in competitive Lorcana. If you've enjoyed today's tournament and you missed out on any of the rounds of the games, head on over to 20 Lore Pro's YouTube later on this week, where we'll have all of these tournaments available for you to watch at your convenience. Again, we want to thank Game Kastle in Austin, Texas for hosting today's Lorcana tournament and allowing 20 Lore Pro here today to come and to stream today's tournament. If you're in the Austin area and are looking for a game store to play at, head on over to GameKastle.com. They have league tournaments on Tuesday and Thursday nights. So if you're looking to play Lorcana, head on over to Game Kastle in Austin. We want to thank our behind-the-scenes producer, Luxac, for producing today's stream. If you're ever in the 20 Lore Pro Discord, Luxac is a great game designer and player over at Nexus in Waco. If you're ever in Waco, Texas, and are looking for an esports gaming hangout, head on over to Nexus, where they have tons of esports and trading card games. We also want to thank GFQ Underground for making these playmats that you see on today's screen. These playmats are made by them and are available right now over at 20lorepro/merch for you to buy today. We want to thank GFQ Underground for making these playmats and for allowing them to be available on our store for you to purchase at your convenience. If you're looking for a way to support 20 Lore Pro and all that we do in providing you stream coverage for Lorcana tournaments, feel free to subscribe here on Twitch. Use your Amazon Primes if you have them, or head on over to 20 Lore Pro's YouTube, where you can watch all the videos, subscribe, and like them. Every little bit helps, and we really appreciate your support. It helps us continue to stay motivated to give you the latest and to showcase the latest in competitive Lorcana. If you're not a member of the 20 Lore Pro Discord, head on over to 20lorepro/Discord, link in the description, where we have tons of deck lists, deck discussions, and just general overall discussion of Lorcana. We have over 5,000 members currently in our Discord and just really enjoy the conversation that we have of competitive Lorcana there. If you're looking for the latest in deck ideas or deck techs, or really what to do in Lorcana and how to build the next list, head on over to 20 Lore Pro's Discord, where we have tons of community members willing to talk and share their ideas. Now here we are in Game 2 of Round 2 of Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K, Toupaloop piloting a Ruby Amber list versus Travis piloting a Ruby Sapphire list. We're currently in I'd say turn 2, which it really looks like 3, but turn 1, Travis played a Popsicle, followed up by a Tipo, which was able to put a card in Travis's hand into his Inkwell Exerted. Tipo just being one of those new ink ramp cards that we've seen a lot of play here, that was introduced in set 5. Toupaloop playing a turn 2 Flynn Frenemy. Really, if he's able to play a turn 3 Mother Gothel or a card that just has quite a bit of power, is going to be able to gain free 3 lore every turn from that Flynn Frenemy. Travis playing a 1 jump ahead was able to use that and sing with the Tipo. 1 jump ahead, another ramp card, and is able to be sung by Tipo. A great card to sing. We'll see what Toupaloop can do here with this Flynn Frenemy, if he's able to make it to where that Flynn Frenemy can trigger during his next turn. Mother Gothel here would do it. And there it is, along with representing 2 damaged characters. Don't forget, on Toupaloop's side of the board last game, we did see those Gastons really make a huge difference. Sadly, we see though that Grandma Tala is preventing that Flynn Frenemy from triggering. That Grandma Tala exactly matching the Mother Gothel's power. Now, Toupaloop, we talked about this earlier, that he did say that he has been able to get Gaston out on turn 4. I think this is a case where he could do it. If he challenged in with this Flynn Frenemy into this Tipo, it would leave the Flynn Frenemy still alive and the viability of Gaston coming out. Really a scary prospect, I would say, for Travis, because again, a 10-6 with Rush, pretty hard to deal with, especially if you're not going to be willing to sacrifice the Vitalosphere and maybe some other characters to challenge in. Now, that may not be the best play. It may leave Toupaloop vulnerable to doing that. but a 10-6 that can quest for 2 and is able to challenge in. Not a bad card to see on the board, and does demand an answer from Travis if Toupaloop in fact has that play in hand. Decides to play a Rapunzel, able to draw off of the top. There's that Gaston for you to see if you missed it during game 1 of this match. Rapunzel, again, being a staple in a lot of these lists that are character based that have damage, able to draw so much off of it. Rapunzel really being a staple since set 1, seen play in many Amber, if not all Amber lists. Just able to draw and really put yourself ahead, gaining so many resources. Now these Ruby Amber lists really include both Rapunzel and Madrigal in order to heal and draw. Travis now playing a late game, I'd say Fishbone Quill, but does need it in order to continue to go up. He's been drawing quite a bit off of this Flavor Sham. Now has a Maui able to cleanly take out a Mother Gothel. Travis now using his own go wide strategy here, while also ramping up quickly. We saw in the Tipo and seeing the one jump ahead. Travis now having quite a bit of ink in his inkwell, able to play almost anything that he draws. Was able to use the Fishbone Quill as well to ramp, and now could use it to then draw with Flavor Sham. If that Flavor Sham is left alive, that is. Toupaloop having a lot of cards in his hand. I would be pretty worried though, because if Travis is able to turn a corner here with cards like Be Prepared to meet whatever Toupaloop plays, it could leave Toupaloop behind on the board. Tough turn here for Toupaloop to decide what to play. We do see a Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts allowing you to draw every time one of your characters challenges. Would give Toupaloop the ability to try to clean up some of Travis's board while drawing. Toupaloop also playing not only this queen, which is a great way to draw more cards, but is also playing the 2-drop Queen of Hearts, which has Rush. That 2-drop Queen of Hearts would be able to trade in very well with the Maui. Taking your time on some of these turns, especially ones like this, that really if Travis is able to make a turn in his plays with having all of this ink in his inkwell, characters on the board, very vital to make sure that you make the right plays at the right time. Again, I want to thank y'all so much for being here today with 20 Lore Pro. We're here live in Austin, Texas at Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K. We want to thank Game Kastle for hosting today's tournament and allowing us to showcase for you the latest in competitive Lorcana. I know so many players are getting ready for the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Vegas. This is a great opportunity and time for you to watch what's going on in competitive Lorcana and to kind of find out maybe some variances that you may want to include in your list. There's a quick pause for a judge call. According to our producer Luxac in the background, we'll let you know kind of what the judge says as these two players kind of take their time. Again, I'm SirAshtown, and we're here live at Game Kastle for the Lorcana 1K. It has been a lot of fun watching the tournament today, especially as in round 1 we got to watch a Blurple matchup between a Ruby Amethyst player A lot of fun. And even here in round two, game one, Toupaloop, we saw two Gastons on the board, the 9-drop. Again, this card hasn't seen, I would say, too much play. A 4 of, though, in Toupaloop's list. If you're enjoying today's tournament and you missed out on any of the action, head on over to 20 Lore Pro. Later on this week, we'll have all of today's rounds up for you to watch at your convenience. Again, thank you so much for joining us here today as we were watching the latest in competitive Lorcana. I really love those mats that we see on the camera. And if you're enjoying those mats and you would like one for yourself, you can get yours today over at 20 Lore Pro at our merch store. We want to thank GFQ Underground for making those play mats, and they are available for you live today. Head on over to 20 Lore Pro's merch store where you can get yours. Toupaloop does play the Queen. Was able to challenge in to deal 2 damage into the Flavor Sham. Now shifting with the big Queen of Hearts. So now any challenges means that Toupaloop's going to draw a card off of them. Does challenge in with the Rapunzel, putting Flavor Sham at 3 damage. I think we're going to see a Gaston. There's so much damage now on the board. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 characters now that are damaged. Gaston costing 2 less. Was able to draw twice off of the Queen of Hearts. A 3rd time now here with Gaston being played. That Gaston only costed Toupaloop 1 to play. That was a ton of card draw. I want to say that was triggered 3 or 4 times now off of the Queen of Hearts. Was able to then play Gaston for 1, challenging in and finishing off that Flavor Sham. Ton of draws, ton of damage. Even if Travis now does play a Be Prepared or a Scar to try to clean up the board, Toupaloop has gained so much off of that turn and all of the drawing that he was able to do. Now, I do believe that that Queen of Hearts is tapped off of the shift. There's Toupaloop fixing it now. So it is viable to be challenged this turn by whatever Travis may play, because that card represented a ton of value for Toupaloop. What a well thought out and great turn by Toupaloop that last turn. I mean, represented a ton of damage, a ton of card draw, and now a lot of threats on the board for Travis to have to deal with. Lots of characters on Toupaloop's side of the board, but only 1 lore up on the board. Gonna need more in order to get there. And there's a Be Prepared from Travis after he quests with his characters, going up to 5. Travis just saying too much on Toupaloop's side of the board. Has already seen the power of Gaston, the ability of Queen of Hearts, and says, I want none of that. And I do not blame him at all. Toupaloop now, having all of those characters be Prepared, is able to play a Chernobog, I want to say for basically free. Looks like just 2. This 9/9 quest for 3 costs 1 less for each character in your banish pile, and then you shuffle the rest into your deck. Has a follow-up play in the form of Flynn Frenemy, which a great target, great character to be triggered off of a Chernobog. I don't think anything's going to be able to beat a 9-drop. We do know that there are cards like Gaston that would maybe stop it, but I don't think that Ruby Sapphire plays anything bigger than a 9-drop. Travis now playing a Mufasa. Toupaloop taking a look. This is a new card from set 5. In and of itself, quest is a 4/9. The quest for 4. Pretty scary. Hopefully Toupaloop, I think, shuffled up and then is going to allow Travis to choose 2 at random. It looks like he's going to actually roll dice to decide. Just to keep it even more random. Drew 6 twice. I'm sorry, rolled 6 twice. Random card choices, not random rolls. And now a card that Toupaloop, I don't think he has the ability to tap down anything, but goodness, Mufasa just being able to quest now allows Travis to really be able to play out anything in his hand, play a ton of characters on the board or items, and then be able to just quest and replay anything else. Only having 1 card in hand though. Mufasa will die, or I should say will be banished by a challenge in from Chernobog if it does ever quest. Can't say that too often where 1 character can just challenge into Mufasa by itself and get rid of it. Toupaloop, not to be outdone by Mufasa, plays his own Mufasa. First time we've seen Mufasa this game on Toupaloop's side of the board. We've seen more out of Gaston from Toupaloop's list so far. Gaston really being the namesake of Toupaloop's list. This Gaston list really focuses on those damaged characters, allowing Gaston to come out so early. But what a board state from Toupaloop. I mean, we're talking about this huge Chernobog Mufasa that now can trigger if there's another B prep on Travis's side. Maybe the last card in his hand. And everything just triggering off of this Flynn frenemy. This is a crazy board state. And Toupaloop, again, having so many cards in his hand off of all the triggers that we saw from the Queen of Hearts turn. Really, Toupaloop having a ton of resources, making sure that no matter what happens, he'll have cards in hand and able to play. And now a character on the board, if a Be Prepared does happen. Travis is going to need to find ways to draw, to find answers to get out of this board state that Toupaloop is presenting. I mean, this Chernobog is huge. Travis now able to draw, just like I was talking about, using the Flavor Sham to get rid of the Fishbone Quill. Can now play out anything in his hand and then quest with Mufasa to re-get back any of that lost ink. Madame Medusa doesn't want the triggers to happen on Flynn Frenemy, knows that Mufasa isn't a great target because he can get something just as huge back. Travis now is questing with Mufasa, and we're going to get to see this really strong ability of untapping all of the ink in Travis's Inkwell, and can play a Lucky Dime as a follow-up and then trigger it. Getting 8 lore this turn off of the Lucky Dime. Toupaloop, as I am, in shock that is a wonderful, I mean, crazy follow-up play. Utilizing that Mufasa to untap your ink, able to play a Lucky Dime, and then trigger it, gaining 8 lore that turn, even if, which we most likely will see this Chernobog challenge into that Mufasa, even if that does happen, which most likely will, was still able to gain 8 lore in 1 turn off of that Mufasa play, and now has a Lucky Dime. So any follow-up play from Travis, he's able to play it and immediately gain lore, can quest out with these characters, really represents such a viable threat. Travis is not out of this game by any means, but is behind based on what Toupaloop can do with all those cards that he drew. Hopefully he can find a way to represent more board threats to continue his lore gain. Man, what a turn from Travis. Just showcasing the power of Mufasa and the viability it has in this Ruby Sapphire list. Now, interestingly enough, this Mufasa on Toupaloop's side of the board now, having two of them, those represent new characters. Even if Travis is able to get rid of them, they represent two lore questers. Great to get Toupaloop up, and then if need be, later on become a new character. We're here at 11. Chernobog did challenge into the Mufasa. Toupaloop wanting no more of that lore gain for the lucky dime. And talk about a crazy scenario where one character can challenge into a 4/9 and get rid of it without any other addition. That's something that we're seeing in the power of Toupaloop's deck. This lucky dime, though, if we see a bell, honestly, a bell maybe at this point. Do we have 10 on Travis' side of the board? We're at 9. Could get up to 10. If we see a bell on Travis' side of the board, we could see the game. Although lots of items, also a great scenario for a Tamatoa to come into play. Travis now up to 14. Next turn with the Chernobog. That represents 3 lore. That's 8 lore on Toupaloop's side of the board that we see in play right now without any challenges. That is within Super Goof range. Travis, I don't even know if he got to see Super Goof last game. I don't think Toupaloop even inked it or played it. No, I'm mistaken. He did see the Super Goof, so he does know that Toupaloop does play it. It's something to think about, but you can't play around every card. We see a challenge from Meta Medusa into Mufasa to reveal a Queen of Hearts. Another card, again, that has done so much work for Toupaloop this match. Activates the dime, going up to 15. That'll be 17 on the board at a Super Goof range. Travis, though, was able to draw off of the Flavor Sham questing, now having more cards in his hand, needing cards like Scar or a Be Prepared, something that can get him out of that range. Toupaloop actually having 7 lore on the board. That would be 18. Does he have a Super Goof to finish off this match? That is the big question here. If he has a Super Goof, that will be game. And does have the ability in all of the challenges to draw off of Queen if he doesn't, but needs the ability to quest here. I believe we see a Hydra in Toupaloop's hand. Lots of interesting cards from Toupaloop's list. That Hydra is a really scary card. Just a great challenger and then can deal damage to anything else. I don't think we see a Super Goof from Toupaloop, or we probably would have seen it slammed. looks like everyone is questing. Kind of scary to do this because Travis could easily come back with that lucky diamond play. 18. We'll have to see some challenges from Toupaloop, or else we could see a board state in which Travis is able to come back. We see on your feet. From Toupaloop. It's going to do a damage to all of Toupaloop's characters and then ready them. A card I have not seen be played before. Seeing it here for the first time on camera. Cannot quest a second time, but would be able to challenge. Now would be able to draw and challenge off of the Queen of Hearts. Is going to be able to clean up Travis's board here after having quested. And now we see a Madrigal able to allow Toupaloop to draw. I mean, this is so many options from Toupaloop. I mean, what an incredible turn from Toupaloop. I mean, able to quest, able to use on your feet to untap his characters and then challenge in, using the Queen of Hearts to draw. I mean, what a card to really put Toupaloop in such an amazing place. And that looks like that is the game here in round 2, Toupaloop versus Travis. What an incredible, I mean, just 2 turns there from Toupaloop. I thought really the Mufasa was going to come back with the lucky dime, getting Travis all the way up to 15. That was a scary place to be in. And Toupaloop really having just the card he needed at the time in order to make sure that he had the draws and the questing ability, and just to protect all of his characters by untapping them. Just the ability for that card, however many he may be playing, to be able to ready all of his characters, just put Toupaloop in such an amazing place to take the match. Congratulations today to Toupaloop piloting a Ruby Amber Gaston list against Travis piloting a Ruby Sapphire list. Thank y'all so much for being here today in round 2 of Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K. We're so thankful to be here today in Austin, Texas to showcase the latest in competitive Lorcana. Thank you all again so much for watching. I'm SirAshtown, and if you missed any of today's rounds, head on over to 20 Lore's YouTube where you can watch them later on this week. Thank y'all for joining us, and I will see y'all again in the next round.